Hello everyone, Michael here from Part-Time Gamer, Full-Time Dad with another Too Long Didn't Read guide for World of Warcraft. This time on the block it's the Brewmaster Monk, so let's just get into it. A quick warning before we do start, this is simply a basics guide and my recommendations for a new Brewmaster Monk looking to get a feel for the class. For the Brewmaster Monk, we'll be focusing on survivability over DPS, as that usually comes later. With that being said, we're going to start off with the suggested talents, as these will impact the playstyle the most. For my suggested talents, I would say first off, at level 15, you'll want to go for Eye of the Tiger, which is a passive heal and damage over time, so it's easy to manage. Level 30 will be entirely up to you, but I would recommend Chi Torpedo, as I find as a tank, you tend to have to move further out for some mechanics than is the DPS. Level 45 is situational, unfortunately. Blackhawk's Brew will be your standard choice here, however, Gift of the Mist can be handy in magic-heavy fights where your brews are not as effective. Level 60 will be Summon Blackhawk's Statue to help you get those AoE taunts. Once you're more comfortable, you may want to look into swapping to Leg Sweep for the CC. Your level 75 default talent should be Healing Elixir, as it provides a good amount of self-sustained healing and can be used in all situations. For your level 90 talent, you'll want Special Delivery as your default, as it provides the most damage. If you're having issues with picking up adds, Rushing Jadewind can definitely help you out here. And finally, at level 100, your default choice will be Blackout Combo, which empowers your energy spenders and brews. If you find you're taking too much damage, High Tolerance can also be a good choice. And now for the stats for the Brewmaster Monk. It's pretty simple. You want to aim for 30% haste, and beyond that, your mastery, crit, and versatility are all roughly equal in terms of gain. I personally try to roll with higher versatility, as it seems to be the best overall well-rounded stat. I know it's boring, but hey, it gives you increased damage, increased healing, and damage reduction. For your gems, you're going to want to take one 200 agility gem as your primary, and then 150 haste after that. If you're already at or above your 30% haste, just socket whatever's the cheapest, just make sure you hover that 30%. For your enchants, on your neck, you'll want Mark of the Heavy Hide for the armor proc, 200 agility on your cloak, 200 haste on your rings, and again, if you're at or above 30% haste, you can change up those ring enchants, but you want to make sure you hover that 30%. For your consumables, you'll want to use Flask of the 10,000 Scars for the increased stamina, the Ajari Salad, which is haste, or the Nightborn Platter, which is mastery food for the stat increase, and the Potion of Prolonged Power for a DPS and survivability increase. You should also carry a few unbending potions in case you need more armor. You should also carry some ancient healing potions. After all, you should be taking the most damage. Now, for the basic playstyle of a Brewmaster Monk, there's no real rotation, but instead you just want to make sure you're always doing a couple of things. You should always aim to use your Blackout Strike before you use your Breath of Fire or Keg Smash, as the empowered version of these abilities is usually too good to pass up unless it's an emergency. Tiger Palm is also nice to be empowered, but you want to make sure that you don't ever cap out your energy, even if this means you're using your Tiger Palms unempowered. That's about it for the offensive part of a Brewmaster, but as a tank, obviously we focus more defensively. As a Brewmaster, your mastery allows you to shrug off incoming damage and stagger it over time. You have two brews that interact with this effect in very different ways. Ironskin Brew is best used right before a pull to help stagger the first few hits to let your healers get started. It's also a great cooldown for when you know you will have a lot of incoming damage right away. Once you've built up a larger stagger, that's when Purifying Brew comes into play, as it reduces the amount you've staggered by 50%. These two brews share charges, so you need to make sure you're not using them too liberally. Finally, for defensive abilities, Expel Harm gathers up all your healing spheres and heals you based on the number gathered. It also does a tiny bit of damage at 10% of the amount healed in an area of effect around you. Brewmaster's Spear Hand Strike is our interrupt ability and should really only be used in emergency situations. Generally, interrupting falls to the DPS. As for your actual cooldowns, Brewmaster Monks have a few to mention. First up is Zen Meditation, which reduces your incoming damage by 60% for essentially the next hit. You want to use this right before a boss hit in conjunction with an Ironskin Brew for maximum effectiveness. Fortifying Brew is our other major cooldown that reduces incoming damage by 20%, increases your health by 20%, and increases the amount that you will stagger. This should also be used before a high damage hit, but can also be used retroactively for the health boost. If used in this manner, it's much less effective and thusly not recommended. Last but not least is Exploding Keg, which is your artifact ability. This is a very strong AoE cooldown. Unless you need to save it for some reason, just use it when you want. As often as you can is obviously the best for your damage though. It does slow the enemy's attack speed slightly, so it can be used defensively if need be. Provoke is your taunt ability and should be used to gather up new mobs or pull the boss. On AoE pulls, you'll want to drop your Black Ox statue, wait for everything to start attacking it, then taunt that, as it will taunt everything that is currently focused on attacking the statue. Provided you've taken it, Chi Torpedo will be your main method for dodging what mechanics you can. If not, you'll use Roll to fill this slot. And with that, we've reached the end of this too long didn't read guide for the Brewmaster Monk. If this was at all helpful, consider hitting that like button, maybe leave a comment if you're feeling frisky, get subscribed for more videos like this in the future, and hit me up on Twitter at ptgamer_ftdad. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and may your damage be healed swiftly.